The NFL Draft is an exciting time for NFL fans, teams, and promising prospects, whether they're selected in the first round
with the first pick in the 2024 NFL Draft
or in the later rounds. Every NFL draft has their fair share of prospects who will automatically become superstars right out the gate, while other guys, well, they might develop into Pro Bowl caliber talent in a season or two. However, some picks who get drafted just do not pan out as planned and will likely end up with that big bad bust label as their NFL career winds down in a lackluster pile of ash.
To Jackson Dart. He is a dual threat quarterback, truly. He can make plays with his feet. He's a bigger guy.
Hey, don't get us wrong. We at TPS hope all draft picks will rise to the challenge. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens when the draft actually occurs.
Cook's looking that way. First down ball. Touchdown ball.
So today, here are 10 NFL prospects in the 2025 NFL Draft that will be busts. Jackson Dart, quarterback, Ole Miss. Dart is a quarterback from the University of Mississippi who led the Rebels to 2 straight bowl wins in 2023 and 2024 and has worked with Lane Kiffin. However, Dart comes from a system that is very quarterback-friendly at the collegiate level, which, doesn't necessarily translate to the NFL level.
Kind of just have one-on-one talk, and I thought that was kind of a big thing for me because a lot of coaches, they talk with the whole crowd.
Case in point, Matt Corral was also coached by Kiffin at Ole Miss, but he became a backup quarterback and is currently making a name for himself in the United Football League. Dart is considered to be much superior to Corral by the time the 2025 draft rolls around, all thanks to his natural throwing abilities and contributions to the run game. Dart's throwing abilities are accustomed to favorable schemes and open routes, but lacks patience as a passer, and is a see it now and throw it style passer, which, doesn't quite work as well in the NFL.
To cost him as Dart taking a shot downfield. Here going for Wade.
Dart also doesn't anticipate throwing lanes well at this point in his career, which needs to change after he's drafted to an NFL roster. Dart is going to need time to develop his style of game for the NFL after he gets drafted to his new team. Otherwise, he's going to end up being a bust and a backup for the majority of his NFL career. Jack Besh, wide receiver, TCU. Besh has shown NFL scouts and football fans that his toughness and versatility stand out on tape, whether he lines up on the inside or the outside, and finds ways to get open. However, on tape, Besh lacks long speed and change of direction when shaking up coverage. Besh chose not to run the 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine, amplifying concerns from scouts and draft analysts. On top of that, Besh topped 1,000 receiving yards only once in his collegiate career, and that was during his 2024 season at TCU. Besh's stats from Louisiana State are pretty lackluster at best, as he topped 489 receiving yards during his freshman year in 2021, and that was 2 years before he transferred to TCU.
It's a good idea of what the future holds, so I'm excited to get to work and see what he has in stock for us.
Teams will like his team-friendly mentality, physicality, and ability to run through opposing defenders, but they need to help Besh adjust his suspect hands for passes being thrown by veteran NFL quarterbacks and his lack of NFL athleticism. And he could really struggle against athletic secondaries, as he isn't the best blocker despite being a very physical athlete. Besh can be a versatile player as a slot receiver, a possession receiver, or a blocker on the correct team that drafts him.
Frogs at 20 yards, and there's picked out of the air, Jake.
The team that drafts Besh also needs to help improve his route running against fierce press coverage from opposing secondaries. All of those factors will be considered when a team drafts Besh. Shamar Stewart, edge rusher, Texas A&M. Stewart has some upside to his game with a 4.59 speed during the 40-yard dash, which wowed scouts during the NFL Combine, and in fact, it was compared to Mario Williams and Myles Garrett. But he had a lackluster 2024 season with the Texas A&M Aggies statistically. He recorded 1.5 sacks, 31 tackles, a forced fumble, and 2 pass deflections during his 3rd season with the Aggies, and has 4.5 sacks for his entire collegiate career. The lack of pass rushing production and missing key tackles is a massive concern for someone who's supposed to be very athletic. However, Stewart was certainly misused under former head coach Jimbo Fisher and defensive coordinator DJ Durkin. But he has continued to struggle under current Aggies head coach Mike Elko and DC Jay Bateman. Sure, you can explain his lack of tackles due to his explosiveness, but will Stewart be able to transition from college to the pros once the 2025 season kicks off? We'll just have to wait and find out, as we hope his next coaching staff can actually find a way to get him up to speed at the professional level. Jaylen Milroe, quarterback, Alabama. Similar to Darts, Milroe has plenty of arm strength to make exciting throws and has breakaway speed as a runner, but he had trouble materializing during his second season as the Crimson Tide starter, and made some very erratic plays, which included a late-season unraveling in a 3-24 loss to the unranked Oklahoma Sooners that ended up dashing the Crimson Tide's college football playoff hopes. Milroe has some shaky mechanics to his game, especially his flat ball throws at the second level. Milroe is a see-it-and-throw-it kind of quarterback, kind of like Dart, and might have some issues with wide-open receivers at the professional level. Once he's drafted, coaches are gonna have to help him adjust to the NFL level by improving his accuracy and decision-making, as they are very shaky and very untrustworthy. If they don't, then the man's gonna be labeled as a draft bust very early in his career. Milroe is projected to get drafted in the second round of the draft, but hey, anyone who gets drafted in the NFL needs to practice each day effectively to possibly avoid being labeled as a potential draft bust. Burton III, wide receiver, Missouri. Burton III has been compared to Shamar Chase with his speed and his ability to threaten opposing defenses on screens and deep routes. However, Burton III may not quite fit the mold that certain NFL teams might use him for. On top of that, reports about Burton III's attitude came out and, well, his draft stock took a bit of a dip compared to previous projections. But that's not the only thing that took a dip. Burton III's production was a little suspect in 2024 compared to his 2023 season.
But they're throwing on the first play, and Cook takes the shot to the end zone. Burton wide open.
On top of that, Burton III's season was impacted by quarterback Brady Cook's absence in a few games due to injury. Look, don't get us wrong, Burton has the potential to be a game-changing wide receiver at the professional level, but scouts are divided on how Burton III will fit in the NFL based on his style of play from his time at Missouri. He needs to be drafted by the correct team with a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback already on the roster, and we gotta see how he'll do at the next level.
Time for Cook, sets his feet, first down, Mizzou, Burton, another spin, and a cut.
If that doesn't happen, well, Burton III will likely have a very short career in the NFL. Walter Nolan, defensive tackle, Ole Miss. Nolan had himself a breakout year with the Ole Miss Rebels during his junior season, having 48 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, and 3 pass deflections, which NFL scouts and draft analysts are enjoying seeing and studying, as Nolan was closely ranked as one of the best recruits alongside Travis Hunter.
I can't come do that. On 3rd and 3, play action, French gets out of trouble.
Some scouts even compared Nolan to Aaron Donald and Gerald McCoy during their primes. However, questions emerged on whether Nolan can be consistent in the NFL, as defensive tackles without a work ethic tend to end up as draft busts.
Back in the shotgun now. He gets pinballed around after.
On top of that, Nolan's maturity has also been drawn into question as he navigates his learning curve into professional football. When Nolan gets drafted, he's going to have to work on his maturity on the field and definitely control his frustration. If Nolan doesn't maintain control of either of those, it could result in a disastrous draft bust recipe that he may never recover from. But hey, only time will tell how Nolan will do at the professional level. Cameron Ward, quarterback, Miami. I know many of you out there are thinking, how can Cam Ward be considered a draft bust? Well, allow us to explain. Yes, we expect Ward to become the Tennessee Titans' new quarterback after the Will Levis experiment massively flopped. Ward has been compared to Jordan Love by NFL scouts and draft analysts in recent days.
Ward steps up, tucks, runs.
However, there is certainly a chance that Ward may not quite be the answer for the Titans, as the offensive line has had many issues in recent years. On top of that, Ward's mechanics, ability to lead wide receivers into open spaces, and his ability to avoid passes that become interceptions are inconsistent.
Ward play fake to Fletcher. He stays in the block. Going to the end zone. Arroyo, touchdown.
Unlike Love, Ward doesn't have Aaron Rodgers to learn from, nor does he have Matt LaFleur guiding him. The Titans are coached by Brian Callahan, who is the Cincinnati Bengals offensive coordinator, but still has a lot of work ahead of him in year 2 of his head coaching role in the Music City. The Titans have talent, but not enough talent. At least not enough for Ward to work with if he gets drafted by them. But for now, we'll just have to wait and see what happens and see what team Ward ends up with. Mike Green, edge, Marshall. Though Green comes from the Marshall Thundering Herd, scouts have cast doubt about whether Green can handle the NFL. Green has not had many opportunities to face Power 4 teams. I mean, he had 4 sacks against Virginia Tech, Ohio State, and Louisiana in the conference championship game. Green won the Sun Belt Player of the Year in 2024 and had 17 sacks and 81 tackles in 2024 with the Herd.
3rd and 19 at the 39. Howard in trouble. And Howard will be sacked by guess who?
Green did miss the 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine, which is certainly a red flag. Don't get us wrong, Green is a good run defender and pass rusher, but he's missed a lot of tackles with a rate of 14.3% and could raise eyebrows of concern with NFL scouts and draft analysts. On top of that, Green has been accused of sexual assault twice now. Yeah, Green was suspended by the University of Virginia in 2022 before he transferred to Marshall, but he's denied that his decision to transfer was due to the allegations against him. Green has denied wrongdoing and plans to be open with teams about it. However, regardless, those allegations are a serious concern, as well as whether or not Green can make it in the NFL. But hey, I guess we're all just gonna have to wait and see what happens. Darien Porter, cornerback, Iowa State. Porter is a 6-year college player with 3 years of cornerback experience with the Iowa State Cyclones. Porter only had 3 interceptions, returned for 5 yards, and that was during his final season with the Cyclones. Before that, Porter was a wide receiver, but didn't really see much action on offense. So he decided to switch positions and take his talents to the defense midway through his collegiate career. Porter wasn't even a starter until his final season with the Cyclones. But you know, that is not going to deter teams from drafting him.
Defensive coordinator, Iowa State, little end around here, nowhere to go.
Even though he has a small sample size in production as a cornerback. However, with Porter's inexperience, opposing wide receivers really could pounce on opportunities to make effective route runs against him. Porter also struggled to shed blocks and maintain edge containment, which also leads to a disaster in the secondary when opposing wide receivers want to make a game-changing play on offense.
Next, and start socializing that. You know, there's a lot that goes into it.
Growing pains are looking inevitable with Porter, but he just needs to land with a team that's zone-heavy and will allow him to work on his coverage more gradually. If he does that, then possibly he can avoid being a draft bust. James Pierce Jr., defensive end, Tennessee. Although Pierce Jr.'s draft stock has fallen in recent days, he still showed tremendous talent during his time with the Tennessee Volunteers. Pierce Jr. had 9.5 sacks and an interception returned for a 52-yard pick six in 2023, and 7.5 sacks in 2024.
Four-man rush. Rattler high.
However, the aggressiveness at the start of his rush can be a bit problematic at the end. Pierce Jr. has struggled to regain control in space and is attempting to wrap up quarterbacks or ball carriers in his vicinity. Without having a clear path to the quarterback or ball carrier, Pierce Jr. could have problems completing plays or disengaging with opposing blockers. Pierce Jr. is going to have to grow and adjust to the professional level as a pass rusher in order to hold up against the run. On top of that, Pierce Jr. has been described as someone with some serious character issues. Pierce addressed the issue during his pro day at Tennessee and said, "I'm a great guy, I'm a great teammate, a great player. I'm a people person. I've got a good heart." But, well, we'll just see if he's able to thrive in the NFL.
I'm a great guy. I'm a great teammate, great player, great people person. Got a good heart.
But hey, who do you think will be a bust from the 2025 NFL Draft class? Do you agree with our list? Is there anyone that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking that like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then hey, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.